Guys, I know you got questions for him, but Coach has got announcements regarding this weekend's celebrity softball game, which is on Sunday at Whitaker Bank Ballpark. So we'll let Coach go first, and we'll open up for questions.
We've made a decision that all the proceeds from this softball game will go to the Baton Rouge Relief Fund. You know, the more you're watching, and you know, this thing is looking like a Sandy disaster, almost worse than that. We're going to go through Red Cross, so the foundation will give any money that's raised, it will go directly to the Red Cross, all the proceeds from it. Papa John's again, will probably announce something this afternoon. They're going to help us with some sort of pizza sales, which they've done in the past in these kind of disasters, and have been very, very generous. Alltech, who sponsoring the softball game, all that money that they were giving to sponsor will go directly to this relief fund. What I'm asking is for the people to buy those tickets to this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tickets are $5, $10. There are some $20 tickets. You go on CoachCal.com. You can purchase online. We are going to, if there's any kind of rain issue, if you bought the tickets, we're going to have an open practice for those people that bought those tickets. So you'll have that ticket that'll get you to the practice that only you will see. So there'll probably be a lot of people hoping for rain on Sunday. There'll be a lot of rain dancing on Sunday to hope that we do rain out, but it should be a lot of fun. We're doing something else because of what we've been able to do through raising money through this weekend. I could not give all the weekend money. Again, we've raised over $1 million the last 3 years at this weekend foundation and given it away to the fantasy stuff. The issue became we've already committed money to different charities, and that money that goes to those charities is very important to them. So what we're doing is we're going to ask everybody, and we've given you a hard copy, to text the word GIVE to 859-955-8173. Text the word GIVE to that number, and then you go through the process and you can make a donation. That would be given directly, 100% of it would be given directly to the American Red Cross. I did it myself to see how long it would take, and it took under 2 minutes. It took me a minute and a half. And I'm like, can't see, and my fingers are getting bigger, and I'm struggling with stuff. So you could do it quickly, and no donation is too small. When you have this kind of disaster, when you have Storm Sandy, the one thing that was different, the weather was different. When you talk about the heat down in Baton Rouge right now that they have to deal with along with this water, I can't even imagine. So whatever we can do, either by texting, by going to the website and buying tickets to the softball game, all the money for that weekend will be there. Now, Terrence Jones is in town, has been added to the list. Michael Kidd is here. Anthony now, because he and I talked about this Baton Rouge, he's one of the ones that said, Coach, you got to do something this weekend for Baton Rouge. So he's going to try to get back in town. He's out of the country right now. You know, Carl Towns, Nerlens, Alex, Kyle Macy, Rex Chapman, Keith Bogans, I'll read some other names, Randolph Morris, Jared Carter, Dale Brown, Tim Couch will be back, Jared Lorenzen, Keenan Burton, Josh Hopkins, the actor from in town. We're going to have a home run derby. I have the dark horse, and he's over 50. The dark horse, John Robick. If anybody wants to make a wager on that, you let me know and we'll make a wager. We may even call some fans out of the stands to get involved in the home run derby. So because Rupp is under construction of what they're doing and that we cannot play the alumni game, this is what we were doing. And you know what? It's a good thing now because we are using the money for all the stuff down in Baton Rouge, and it should be fine. Also this weekend, last thing, we've teamed up with the Starkey Foundation And as a result of this weekend, we're going to give away 80 hearing aids to Kentucky residents prior to the softball game. So that's going to be a big deal. I'm excited to be a part of that, and again, 80 hearing aids to the Kentucky residents prior to the game.
Tim, did any scene from Baton Rouge or story you read moved you toward this?
Because of Superstorm Sandy and Lavallette in that area where my wife and I go in the summer, we knew what mold and wet. You have to go in your house within 24 hours and cut the drywall well beyond the water line, take out everything. So your house, you walk in and it's 4 feet of nothing, and then the rest of the house above it. But it wasn't hot like this. It wasn't 95 degrees. I have no idea how they're saving any of those houses unless they were high enough ground that people got in right away and did that. Because when the mold takes over the house, there's nothing you can do. And so the more I watched, and then I heard about the weather, and then they had the president sweating, I'm like, and the houses are still, water still soaked in some of the houses. It's just, we lived it in New Jersey, New York, and now they're living it down there. And, when you see that kind of stuff, it just moves you. And then call Anthony talking about it too. Like, hey, you know what? And I would have done the whole weekend and given it down there. But we've committed to other charities. And those charities, like I said before, it's important to those charities, the money that we give to them also.
Are you going to play in the home run derby, Cal?
I am not. My hip is still bothering me. It is my excuse. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Are they moving?
Those charities, I know several people with hearing difficulties, and it's just intriguing to know how those get chosen.
The Starkey Foundation, they go through, there's layers of that where they've got people in the community that test to see if they're able to benefit by the hearing aids, and then they go to the next level, and then it comes to the fitting of the hearing aid, and then the next level is getting involved in the community and getting other people involved. So they do a really good job. And they came at me 2 years ago, and I said, they wanted me to go to another country. Like, why don't you go to Haiti? Why don't you go to Dominican Republic? I said, why don't we do it right here in Kentucky? We've got to have people in need that have hearing issues that need hearing, even young kids. So they're going to be 80, and those things that's like $10,000 per hearing aid. 80. Now, those of you in the room can't put that number together, but I mean, it's significant. And Starkey, I've been to the gala. We've had him involved. We've given him money through the foundation. And this year they want to do it this way in conjunction with the foundation. They're going to come down. I'm just happy we can be involved. I want our players to be involved, kind of like we were with Samaritan's Feet, where we're putting socks on washing feet, giving shoes to kids that need it. These hearing aids, when people hear for the first time, where they're like, whether they're young or old or they hear again, it becomes emotional.
Cal, this thing of the weekend and the camp is a fantasy camp, of course. You're making these guys and gals, their basketball fantasies come true. What is your basketball fantasy?
It's not fantasy. I mean, it's to win all 40 games sometime before I retire, and then be able to go to an NBA All-Star game and 12 of the players in the NBA All-Star game to play for us. I don't call that fantasy. Fantasy means it could never happen. So, but those would be two things that would be neat before I don't have to do any more press conferences in front of you guys.
Carter, what did you see before you sent them off on a break? What did you see from one of the veterans and two of the new guys that you were kind of really getting your first look at in this session?
I was really pleased, from De'Aaron Fox gaining like 10, 12 pounds to Wenyan getting his feet underneath him, the progress that Isaiah made shooting the ball, Michael, Dom, those guys, Derek, all of them have gotten better, and you can just see they're more mature and more at ease. I met individually with the freshmen last night and then as a group. And it's funny, they're just wide-eyed. They're typical wide-eyed. They think they know what they're stepping into, but there's an anxiety because they don't know. And then I'm in there, what you think I'm sugarcoating it? Like, do you understand how hard this is going to be? And this is not the next step up, and you're going to have to be curious, and you're going to have to learn, or you're going to get run over. There's no easy way here, and you're going to have to do it together. You're going to have to be about each other, and if you're only concerned with yourself, this gets too hard and overwhelming. If you concern yourself with everybody else and still be responsible for you, you can do this. So we had those meetings, and I'm excited to get going. I probably will, the 2 hours a week, more than half of it will be individuals workouts. Now you may say, well, you're allowed to do team, why wouldn't you do team? We're not ready for team stuff yet. I mean, whether it be Bam, whether it be Wenyan, whether it be Sasha, even Isaac, who's way better. Like when you see Isaac now, you're going to say, my goodness, like he's not even the same guy. They all need individual work, and so do the guards. So the other, if I split it down and it's 40 minutes, I'll probably do 40 minutes of team, and it'll all be dribble drive drills. Just teaching them how to play, and teach them how to attack and be in balance and throw lobs and do that stuff. So I'm anxious to get going. We go out to recruit on the 9th. I'll be gone for at least 5 straight days. Probably in 5 straight days hit 12 different states. Get done what I got to get done, because if I'm not in the first week, what do you think the other schools say? Well, if you were important to him, he'd have been here already. So I got to go and just hit 3 states in one day. And, you know, we're not recruiting that many kids. I think it's 8 or 9 kids. But I got to hit them all within the first 4 or 5 days.
Cal, I don't think we've talked to you since Derek's issue at the beginning of the summer. What's his status and what kind of...
Well, you guys know I don't throw people under the bus. You guys know I am. And we deal with every situation in its own right. We gather the information. And Derek knows that he's under a different eye now than he was. But I'm not going to tell you specifically what we did and didn't do. I'm not going to write your stories and do all that stuff. But obviously, he and I have talked a few different times. So
You use that as a teaching tool to the guys about if you have a misstep, this can be the consequence. It goes public.
well, that's being here. I mean, it's being in Kentucky, and you can't talk your way out of it. You can't. It's, you know, and that includes our staff. Like, I can't go anywhere that they're not taking pictures of me sending them somewhere. Then I got to explain when my wife calls me and says, "You didn't tell me you were in LA." Like, what do you mean? Like, somebody took a picture with you, and well, I'm out of recruiting. What are you talking about? I mean, I've been in 3 states today, so you can't. There's stuff. These kids know they're under a microscope. But I tell them that's the downside of being here, is that side. The good thing about being here is you're in Kentucky, and everybody wants to be here, and you're here. You're having the opportunity to do this and those things, and you got to deal with the other side of it.
Is he going to miss any game time, or is...
No.
John, I read something about Roy Williams saying the ACC is expanding their conference games, number of conference games, and he thinks the Kentucky-North Carolina series might have to be set aside. What do you make of that series and its future?
Well, it'd be disappointing if, like, North Carolina and Louisville and those teams in that league say we got too many games, we can't play it. But obviously, we're Kentucky. We'll get our games. I mean, I'm not worried about it. I always have liked the North Carolina game, but as our fans have found out, there's not it's us that they watch. It's not the other teams. And they're not so up on who's doing what. It's about our team. And obviously, we'll have one of the best schedules in the country if it doesn't include North Carolina. You know, we've got UCLA, we've got Arizona State, we've got all these other teams that, you know, the challenge, which is Kansas, and probably forgetting some others. Who else? I don't even like to look at the schedule, to be honest with you.
How's Isaiah taking to that new leadership role, getting those guys organized?
He's doing good. He's doing good. I've been really pleased. I've been really pleased with him. He, you know, I kind of put it on him like I do all these guys, and was very specific in that he's got to improve the shooting. I mean, it doesn't matter how I play him, where I play him, how much he plays. It's all comes back to improve that. You don't have to be Steph Curry. You just have to be better than you were. And you know what? He's worked at it. He's in the gym at night. He knows. There's no excuse. You can't blame anybody. You can't say this, that, and the other. It's not this for him and the other guys. And I told him, when you're in this program, you've got to be responsible for you. We're going to look after you. We got your back, but you have to be responsible for you. And you got to be about each other, because it's too hard when you're trying to take all this on yourself. So I'm really pleased with him, to be honest. And, you know, people forget how big he was for our team a year ago. Like, he kind of got overshadowed. And the only reason he got overshadowed, whatever he shot from the three-point line and the free throw line was abysmal. But short of that, defending, rebounding, playing basketball, getting to the basket, making plays, not being afraid. I mean, you know, Tyler had the ball all the time, and Jamal shot the ball the way he did. So they kind of overshadowed. But as a basketball player, as a tough, hard-nosed warrior, come on now, there were games we'd have lost if he wasn't playing.
Time for a few more questions, guys.
I know Bam was a little bit nicked up early on. Did you get a good chance to see him by the end of those workouts to see what he could do?
He's begun working out right now, and he was doing conditioning and all that, but he's getting on the court more. And, you know, look, my prediction will be kind of like Carl and even Anthony and some of these guys that, you know, they you know, other players were more highly thought of. When you start hitting late January and February, you're going to say, oh my goodness, because he's a beast with skills, greatest kid. I mean, he's a great teammate, aside from that. You know, he's unselfish in all kind of ways, but he's a beast who can play basketball. And he wants to win. I mean, the meetings I had with the guys last night were, you know, they're so, like, they're all saying, it's great to walk in a gym and have all these really good players. And I've said it, I said, you know, I tweeted out, talked to a kid on the phone, and he was telling me about his aspirations and wanting to play with other good players. And when I got off, I said, you know, that if you walk in the gym and you're the most talented guy, you're in the wrong gym. If you walk in the gym and you look at the talent and you say, oh my goodness, that's the right gym for you. And that's us. You walk in the gym, like they were telling me every day in the pickup games, it's somebody different that does something. I talked to him last night about leadership. It's not one guy leading us. It's not going to be Isaiah by himself leading us. I want to have 3 or 4 leaders. So if anybody gets hurt, anybody's got to step back, anybody's not playing well, anybody has issues they got to deal with, it doesn't affect us because we have more than one leader. So I'm teaching 12 guys to lead and what it means to lead, which means to serve everybody else.
Kyle, you said Isaac's much better. What about him makes him look
Much more confident, much more physical, much more skilled in what he's doing and able to sustain it more. He's got a ways to go. I mean, he's got a ways to go, but it's what you want to see. He was 17 last year. Now he's 18. He's only 18? Yeah, he's only 18. Like the youngest player in the country last year. Couldn't be drafted. One player I've had that had no chance that he could be drafted, it was him. And so, you know, again, when I had the team meeting with everybody, I just looked at him and said, that Australian team was good too, by the way. And so watching video of them and some of the stuff they're doing, he said they were good, but I expected him to play one more round, which I kind of do. But
Speaking of the Olympics,
Last
what
question.
did that mean for DeMarcus, do you think, to get that gold
it's
medal
big.
play there?
I mean, the best thing for him is that even if you have to step back and you win, what that feeling is. Now chase that feeling. Chase that feeling in Sacramento. It means you may have to add a couple more pieces, and those pieces may, at certain games, they be the dominant player, and you have to be able to accept that. Well, he's proven by playing at Kentucky, he can do that. And now playing on the Olympic team, he can do that. So, now it becomes them getting a couple more players, because in that league, it's a talent league. It's become a miss or make league. If you miss, you lose. If you make shots, you win. It's become that. But it's also about the talent you have on the team. If you want to win, you better have really good players, and more than just one or two.
All right, thanks, everyone. You guys should have got a press release regarding the text messaging details.
If you could put out